Hello friends, this video is about EXIM policy. We Sangavi, Sangeetha and Vinisha are here to present on this topic. In this video, we are going to see about what is EXIM policy and its objectives and the various EXIM policy that has been followed in the previous years and the EXIM infrastructure and the procedure to set up EXIM unit and mandatory documents that is needed for the export and imports. EXIM policy. EXIM policy mainly concerns about exports and imports in a country. EXIM policy is a set of guidelines and instructions related to the import and export of goods. It is known as export and import policy or foreign trade policy. It is regulated by the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992. EXIM policy or the foreign trade policy is necessary. It is a policy that lays down simple and transparent procedures for the efficient management of foreign trade in India. This policy aims at enhancing the country's trade and economic growth and employment generation. The Customs Tariff Act and the Central Excise Tariff Act are the two important acts that lay down how the customs and excise duties that shall be levied on trade respectively. When EXIM policy is being notified, Government of India notifies the EXIM policy for a period of 5 years under the Section 5 of the Foreign Trade Development and Regulation Act 1992. The current policy covers the period of 2015 to 2020. Who announces EXIM policy? EXIM policy is prepared and announced every 5 years by Directorate General of Foreign Trade under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. It is updated every year on 31st of March and all the amendments and improvements in the scheme are effective from 1st of April. What is the current EXIM policy? On April 1st, 2021, India was to unveil the foreign trade policy of 2021 to 2026. The existing policy 2015 to 2020 was extended by a year due to COVID-19, which was to end on March 31st of 2021. Main objectives of EXIM policy: it is to facilitate sustained growth in exports and imports in the country. It is to stimulate the sustained economic growth and to enhance the technological strength and efficiency of industry, agriculture and services. To provide clients with high quality goods and services at globally competitive rates. Canalization. It is an important feature of EXIM policy under which certain goods can be imported only by designated agencies. For an example, like item like gold and bulk can be imported only by specific banks like SBA, and some foreign banks or designated agencies. There has been a highlights of every EXIM policy under every 5 years. Let's see some of the highlights of EXIM policy of 2002 to 2007. Removal of all quantitative restrictions and decanalization of exports of farm products. Scheme of special economic zones has been strengthened and major thrust to promote agriculture exports by setting up of agri-export zones and by removing the export restrictions on designated items such as agro and agro-based products. Then the transport subsidy has been provided. Simplification of procedure for reducing the transaction cost has been made. Widening of the scope of market access initiative scheme to include setting business centers in India missions abroad for focused market promotion of exports. Now let's see some of the highlights of the EXIM policy 2015 to 2020 unveiled by the Minister of State for Commerce and Industry on April 1, 2015 by Nirmala Sitharaman. Following are the highlights. It provides framework for increasing the exports of goods and services, and it generates employment and increases the value addition in the country in line with Make in India program. And it introduces two new schemes, that is merchandise export from India scheme, that is for export of specific goods to specific markets, and services exports from India scheme, that is for increasing the exports of notified services. Measures have been taken to boost exports of defense and high-tech items. E-commerce exports has been developed, and approved exporter system will help the manufacturer exporters considerably in getting fast access to the international markets. See about the EXIM infrastructure in our country. About 95% of India's merchandise trade is handled by its maritime transport. Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust in Maharashtra is India's largest port, handling 55% of container cargo across all major ports. Currently, India has presence of 290 inland container depots and freight stations for trade. The EXIM infrastructure includes port network, road network, and rail network. Port network. To reduce the logistic costs of cargo and promote port-led industrial development, Government of India launched the Sagamala program, under which six new major ports and 14 coastal economic zones have been identified. The program's four main pillars are port modernization, better port connectivity, port-led industrialization, and coastal community development. Next is the road network. The world's second largest road network is in India. For efficient movement of goods and better district level connectivity, the project of Bharatmala Pariyojana was launched by Government of India in 2050. This project aims to develop 50 new industrial corridors and add 34,800 kilometers of road network in its phase 1. Next, let's see about railway network. Freight through railways in India has always been prominent with the help of Indian Railways transporting. There are six high-capacity, high-speed freight corridors coming up in the country to support the Indian Railways to manage 40% of modal freight share of the economy. Image shows EXIM infrastructure in India. Here comes the coastal economic zones, the industrial corridors, and economic corridors that has been depicted, and the dedicated freight corridors have also been depicted in this picture. Now we have known about EXIM policy, but for an individual or a business unit, when they have to do exports or imports, what is the procedure to set up an EXIM unit? For an individual or a business unit to avail the incentives under foreign trade policy, they must first register themselves as an EXIM unit. There are few steps that has to be followed. First is the incorporation of the company. They should either set up a sole property concern or partnership firm or company. Then they should have a current account with bank authorized in foreign exchange, and they should have a permanent account number, that is PAN number, from the income tax department, and they should also have the importer exporter code that must be collected from the Directorate General of Foreign Trade. They should have registration cum membership certificate. To avail concessions, one must obtain registration cum membership certificate from Export Promotion Council or Federation of Indian Export Organization or Commodity Boards. Then they should get risk coverage policy from Export Credit Guarantee Corporation through an appropriate insurance policy. Mandatory documents for export and import in India. As per Foreign Trade Policy 2015 to 2020, issued by the Ministry of Commerce in December 2017, following are mandatory documents. For exporters, they should have the transport bills, that is, bill of landing or airway bill or lorry receipt or railway receipt or postal receipt. They should have a commercial invoice cum packing list, and they must have shipping bill or bill of export and postal bill of export. For import conditions, they should have same transaction bills, and they should have a commercial invoice cum packing list and a bill of entry. Thank you for listening.